Today's walk mixes urban with country between Leicester City Football Club's two grounds. Starting in Leicester at the King Power Stadium, it heads northwest along Raw Dykes Road before crossing the Gimson Bridge, and then joins the path northwards alongside the Grand Union Canal. It continues on past Montfort University, crossing into the Frog Island area to the east, keeping alongside the waterway until, on reaching St Margaret's Way. Here it diverts slightly northward into Abbey Park, where it picks up the River Soar eastward, and then follows the river as it turns northeastward past the National Space Centre, and then directly northward through Elis Meadows. Diverting next through the eastward side of Watermead Country Park, the route picks up the Grand Union Canal northwards once more, before passing under the A46 road and then across the fields to Cossington. From there, the route heads east on the side roads and across the fields to arrive behind Leicester City's Training Grounds, before it finally circles anti-clockwise before heading northwest along Park Hill Lane to arrive at the Training Grounds main entrance.
You're probably thinking to yourself, he said he didn't like urban, so what is he doing here in an urban environment again? Well, today I am just outside the King Power Stadium for Leicester City Football Club, and I'm going to walk from here to their, not that secret, training ground out beyond in the Leicestershire countryside. It takes in some canals, it takes in a fair bit of urban walkway as well, but it's actually quite an interesting walk to do. Albeit one that starts on a busy roadway. Well, the good news is the canal path is just at the end of this street. And there we are, finally off the main streets of Leicester, which is a blessed relief almost immediately. You'll note, in contrast to the Nottingham canals, it's a lot more urban around here than that lovely green corridor we took on the Grantham Canal. But this is, after all, the Grand Union Canal, or a stretch of it that runs through Leicester. So maybe I expect it to be grander, but also to be more central to the city itself. Plenty of road bridges to walk under as well. And because the artwork's particularly great. But I do know that on this route there is some interesting artwork and plenty of wildlife to see. I used to work around this area, and I do know there's lots of swans. I can actually already see them ahead. And already the occasional duck, warning Mr. Duck. So we shall see what we shall see on this route, which is going to combine a 50-50 split, I think, of urban walking and countryside walking. Good morning, swans. How are you today? Yes, you're urban swans. You think I've got treats on me, don't you? Well, you're out of luck. Just coming up behind the far side of Montfort University, DMU, with its funky architecture. I gotta say, this is quite grand as canals go. I mean, I got used to walking the Grantham route, which was, more like a classic shipping canal. This has the feeling of a major highway. Guess that's why it's the Grand Union, rather than just the Grantham to Nottingham shipping canal. So far, though, I have to say, the Grantham Canal route is winning hands down. Sorry, Leicester. Although, let's say in its favour, the walkway's decent, are clear. The signage is somewhat absent, though. It's a case of you have to really know it's here to find it, and I'm lucky that I've lived near Leicester for many years, so I do know about the routes around the canals here. They're not as well marked as the ones around Nottingham, not by a long chalk. It really is a curious route. It's all this semi-gentrified stroke extremely urbanised canal path. And hopefully eventually it comes out in Abbey Park, which is actually where I'm targeting, because that's where I'll pick up the rest of my route. It's just quite hard to tell. in there building a nest. Duck having a break. That's bridge number 3 apparently. Bridge number 1 was a short while ago. Oh no, I thought I started before then because there were several bridges. Wow, I'm not going to say when last time I came down here all this was fields, but last time I came down here all this was buildings. Aha! Another bridge. Well, a slight diversion across the road to get to the far side of the canal, but here we are entering into Abbey Park, famous for being where Cardinal Wolsey is buried, I believe. And if I'm not right on this, I'm sure the caption guy will now correct me. I think last time I actually walked through Abbey Park, it was the middle of winter. So, given today is mid-June, is only 22 degrees, and is quite stiflingly muggy because there's nothing but cloud cover today. There's no actually intense sun to burn any of it off, and I'm down by a canal. Yeah, I think I prefer the winter visit. It's quite a lovely part of Leicester, Abbey Park. In fact, I may venture to say it's my favourite bit of Leicester. This canal path, of course, runs up past the National Space Centre, which is kind of exciting. I like rockets and things, and I like rockets and things, so it's a good thing. It's a weird-looking building, admittedly. It's right next to the university's space park, which sadly does not have its own launching facilities as of yet. But we live in hope. Good morning, gooses. And why have you got a heron amongst you? I thought you hated herons. And you're teenagers. Oh, they're young adult gooses now. That is definitely Goose Island over there. And oh, look at that. It's a whole row of gooses on a little raised bit. Wow. Well, that's 3 days' time, so I've come at just the right point because that's going to be closed for the rest of the summer. What perfect timing, Leicestershire City Council! Shut down the first bit of the real green corridor alongside here for 6 weeks. Wow. Anyway, we're beyond Abbey Park now, and on to... It's a bit of a route I did a few weeks ago and totally forgot to film, and because I didn't think it was going to be that interesting. And it turned out that actually this is a really interesting bit of a route. And there it is, looming through the trees, the National Space Centre, which surprisingly is actually quite a good day out. I can recommend it, although I went to a sci-fi convention there rather than just visiting the Space Centre. Sadly, those are not exhaust ducts for rockets. I think they're just part of the air conditioning. It does look a lot more impressive inside and looks more impressive from the front. But hey, it's one of Leicester's few exciting attractions. So definitely worth a visit. And then again, look, you can come out of it and onto this glorious bit of canal path. 2 for 1. Actually, a little famous fact. I used to work with Helen Sharman, Britain's first astronaut, many years ago, after she'd been to space. I can't say I managed to inspire her to go to space or anything like that, but she was perfectly pleasant to work with. Well, I've quite a nice little transit through Elis Meadows, and again, Leicester proving it does have lots of green credentials once you are out of that mile or two of the city centre squalor. Yeah, so you know, we're still around major roads and some major industrial complexes and the like, but as we get slowly towards the south edge of Watermead Park, which itself is an absolute gem of Leicester, probably that's a good point. Do I prefer Watermead Park or do I prefer Abbey Park? They've both got lots of waterfowl. Ooh, I may have to say Watermead Park might trump Abbey Park now I'm thinking about it. Flood diversion route. Yeah, Leicester does get a fair amount of rain. Yesterday being one of the examples. You probably noticed the similarity with the walk I did a few days ago, straight after a thunderstorm. Well, last night we had heavy rain again in Leicester. Where I live, we somehow were between 2 bands of thunderstorms, so it just went highly humid. Lovely night's sleep, that wasn't. And here we are passing under, in a moment, another major road in Leicester. Oh yes, there's evidence of heavy rainfall on the Western Road. This is mid-June. It's swampy. I have walked through Watermead Park in the past. I've had to walk through about 100 yards of foot-deep water on the path, so yeah, lovely. Here we go, into a tunnel. Choo-choo! Gotta love a tunnel echo. Oh, and gotta love a puddle I can now see at the far end. Let's take a diversion around that. I believe that actually did want to say Watermead Park there. Entry ahead. And here we are entering into Watermead Country Park. I think Country Park might be a bit of an extension because it's still right in the middle of Leicester, but still a fantastic place to walk around. Absolutely stuffed full of bird life. Might be stuffed full of other animal life as well, but with the beautiful long grasses you cannot see. No Mow May and no May June continuing very nicely here. Plus it has lots of really easy to walk paths around it. And one of the joys of Watermead is while there are marked paths, there are various unmarked but accessible paths as well. And this is one of my favourite. You might have seen on my short a few weeks ago, one of the reasons why I love this. There's a rope bridge ahead, which, yes, I'm going to walk across again. I may not bother filming it this time because it's really hard holding on to everything and filming. But there's also this mysterious airplane tail, which is down climbing clearly, and polar bear, which I presume is also for climbing on. Ah, there it is. There's the rope bridge just beyond it. Yes, this is marked the woodland habitat on that side. Oh look, there it is, the rope bridge. Right, here we go again. Across the rope bridge. The point at which I slow down a lot. If you were smaller and agile and the ropes weren't quite as wet and slippery as they are, this would be a heck of a lot easier. When you're the size of a hiking llama, it's a bit more of a challenge. There we go. Phew! Not quite sure I do that to myself every time I cover this route. But it remains the only route in the area I know for hiking where I can get a quick go on a rope bridge. So frankly, every time I come here, that's the route I take. And now as we come out of Recycling Alley, we'll come back into the park proper. I'd be remiss if I didn't get a quick bit of footage of Goose Central. That is a whole lot of geese. Hello, lads. And that, of course, is the scene of the famous location where my wife rescued a drowning swan. Long story, it's on one of the other videos. And while we're still on Watermead, there is actually a sneaky route that goes north that cuts out a bit of the distance. Now it does take you past a marina, so there's canal boats and other boats aplenty over there. And yeah, it is a bit industrial, but yeah, cutting a mile off the route's not such a bad thing. It also is quite direct and you're still quite close to the water, so can't fault it. And you're quickly out of that industrial landscape, well, mostly, and back alongside, well, it was the canal. I'm fairly sure now we're actually alongside the River Soar, but it kind of turns between canal and river for a lot of this stretch. So I'm never quite sure which bit I'm walking along unless I actually check the map. And you know what? I'm not going to check the map at this point. I'm just enjoying the walk. Nicely grown up here. Lots of grasses. There's always quite a few geese around here, but I suspect they're either on the river right now or hidden from view from me. But if you get a sudden squeal from me in a moment, it's because a goose has just suddenly run out. I'm just too near an invisible nest I couldn't see. See, I told you they were lying in wait for me. Hello, gooses, geeses, a few babies. Oh, my boots have just dried out from last time's walk. Oh, this is regretfully the path. And now we have the evidence of quite how heavy the rainfall was yesterday. Oh, that's quite horrid. Ugh. Let's hope that's the only stretch of that. Back into Watermead proper now, after my shortcut via a flooded path. Thing is, my feet aren't actually as wet as the mile or so I walked in the last video through the sodden bracken and cow parsley. So go figure, 100 yards literally with my feet underwater, not as wet. But here we are, back along the banks of the canal / the River Soar. There is actually a path to my left, a nice hard standing if you prefer hard standing, but frankly I would much rather walk as close to the water as I can because, oh look at that, all the dragonfly, mayflies, all the sort of things like that, all those that are such in prominence at the moment. If I'm really lucky, one will fly across the camera again. Video before last I noticed one flew right across my camera on the first leg of the Grantham trip. But as I recall, there's probably about a mile and a half now of this path before we exit Watermead itself and then return to what is very definitely a bit of canal. But I think you'll agree this is again a stunning bit of Leicester, and if you've never been, absolutely recommend it. There's even a place where you can buy goose and duck food, so you don't need to bring any of that, you can feed them their own special food. Still at Watermead Park, but that is a beautiful family of swans. Look at that, aren't they lovely? And now we transition out of the glorious Watermead Park up what can be a bit of a treacherous slope in weather. Across a tiny and thankfully not too busy road. And down here by the Hope and Anchor pub, come down to some genuine canal side again. Fun fact, I fell down this slope a year or so ago. It was the winter though. Now I can see some swans ahead. I can also see a huge amount of mud here, which tells you something about how high the canal has been recently, or indeed the River Soar. Here's hoping the rest of this route is passable without me going underwater again. Probably won't be able to read that, but that says number 20 Hills Bridge. And considering number 1 was West Bank Bridge, we've come away. I always like these specialist canal side shops. If you're living the dream on the canal barge, absolutely essential. Sadly, they're on the far side of the bank from me. I'll have to walk across the bridge and get to them. They're not very open either, so. But yeah, quite a few craft down here. Moored. I say from all over the world. Oh, that one's from Nottingham. given how slow canal boats are, I guess they don't come from that far away, many of them. Although I suppose you've got the months and months of travel on them, you can probably go a lot further. This one I always like because it looks rather industrial. Not so much living quarters or something going to set out to sea. It would sink if it set out to sea. But yeah, it's an ironclad. I'd call it Thunderchild if it was mine. Although that would probably end up getting sunk by Martians. And there we go, we've come off the canal side now. Over there's the A46, which we came under a few minutes ago. And now we're into fields for a while. These are the fields leading to Cossington, and when I consider I've only walked 8 miles from what was the centre of Leicester at this point, it's a dramatic change of landscape. In regards, it's a shame to leave the canal behind at this point. I mean, River Soar is just over there to my left. Still, well, it's a tributary of it. But sadly, it's not going the direction I need to at this point, because we need to be heading over that way. Into Cossington and then beyond. Just coming out of the edge of Cossington. Now, there is actually a footpath that goes across a couple of fields, including one with some flowers commercially being grown in, that I could have taken. The only problem is you have to walk a few hundred yards down a main road to access the footpath entrance. So, no. Cross that busy road, just stroll through Cossington. It's quite a charming little village. Although the occasional motorbikes see clearly. But then it does lead this nice backwoods sort of route out. So we'll be going over here, over the main East Coast mainland railway line, where they famously raised the bridge a few years ago in order to electrify the line before cancelling the electrification. Yay! That was a good bit of planning there. Let's get rid of the beautiful old brick bridge and put a horrible metal and concrete monstrosity in its place. There's something we're not going to do. See also HS2. But over the bridge we will go, then up Blackberry Lane, and then down a little road for a while past the local Ratcliffe College, then to some fields, at which point we will be approaching the Leicester City Training Ground. So all of that's still about 3 miles worth of walking though. Well, here I am on Blackberry Lane, and I'm remembering this is the first time I've walked for a while I've actually had a long hill to climb. Not too much of a hill, but a hill nonetheless. I also thought off the canal and off the river, the humidity might be easier, but oh no. If anything, the humidity now is even higher, because I'm walking between fields and damp soil and damp hedgerows. So yeah, temperature probably only says it's 22 degrees, but it feels more like about 32. Oh, but still pretty, and there's still a pretty long way to go. There in the distance is the Leicester City Football Club training ground. There's also a paraglider, but you probably can't see him or her. Now we are actually going to come around the back of the grounds and then finish up out on the front. Admittedly, the front is on a main road, I was going to say, main side road. So it may not be the most exciting finish, but we will get a nice close-up look as we go across the next couple of fields. My, this field has grown up in the few weeks since I last came through it. Paraglider coming back over. And as you can see, we are getting nearer to the city training ground. I love this gate. It's quite literally no fencing around it. Now as we get nearer to it, and shortly we're not going to be able to see much of it because it's going to go behind that hedge. You might be thinking, what lovely countryside around here. Who in their right mind plonks a great big sports ball training centre here, out of town, away from their grounds? There used to be a golf course here before they built this place, and I was surprised to discover a bit of the golf course still exists, albeit locked away for private use by Leicester City. So I guess between playing rounds of sports ball, they're in there playing stickball. Gosh, what fun for them. So yes, this is the little diversion now that we have to run round rather than going straight through the golf course. Probably adds on about half a mile to the route. It does, however, bring us back eventually to right at the front of the training ground. As we're coming towards the end of today's route, this is normally the bit at which I encourage you to, if you've enjoyed this walk with me, please do give me a like. It's very heartening after all the time I spend doing the walks and editing the videos together. If you've really enjoyed it, and you're not already, why not subscribe to Walking with Llama Paws? The good news over the summer is I've got quite a few walks coming up, so plenty of content coming your way, and a great way to find new routes without having to leave the comfort of your own armchair. And if you wish, why not share the link to my videos as well, because it's always nice to find other like-minded hikers, people who like longer videos, and those who enjoy the countryside as well. But anyway, other than that, thank you for watching, and let's just enjoy this last half mile or so. I will give them this. They might have diverted it around the golf course. The bonus there is I'm not dodging golf balls to do the rest of this route. And at least there is a path that's decently shaled, I suppose, or stoned, but makes for easy progress. That is, apart from about 200 yards when I come out onto the road, and it's actually a side road off the busy A46, so I'm going to try and get a little bit of footage walking along it, but you'll understand if the next thing you see is me standing outside the front of the Leicester City Football Club training area, that I decided it was a bit too dangerous. And if that's got a sign that I'm approaching the end of the route, nothing is. Given this is the middle of a weekday, you can tell how busy this road can get. Zoom in slightly. There it is, the main entrance to the Leicester City Football Ground training area. Looks a bit like one of those American prisons, doesn't it, those entrances? And yeah, that's your lot. I've got a short distance to walk to my pickup after this, so I will be continuing to walk, but I shall save you having to watch me, but that's it. We're leaving behind the football grounds and heading on down the country roads to somewhere safe and convenient for a car to stop. Thanks for watching. See you next time.